Clock has now started, the race effectively on, but we're not yet under green flag conditions. They will come at the end of this next lap, but as I say, this all counts within the hour. Track surface a bit hard to gauge, certain patches looking wetter than others.
Turn 1 looks like it's getting dry, and I think we'll see, because it's not raining at the minute, I think we'll see a dry line appear in the first 5 minutes of the race. So yeah, it's going to be very easy for these wets to overheat, and when they do, the tread blocks get so hot it's like driving on jelly.
And is anybody going to bail for the pit lane? They're not at the front, certainly, because the lights go out and Maxi Gertz blasts away, being hustled along by Sven Muller. They both get up the inside line. Sandy Mitchell on the outside, fending off Marvin Kirchhofer as they go around Oulton for the first time. It is a greasy circuit. The GT3 pack safely through. It is Gertz leading. Here comes Mitchell back up the inside of Muller for second place, and he's done it. Really nice move in the Lamborghini.
Oh, Muller had such a good start, but because it's wet, Sandy had the wet line, which just gave him P2. So, and big contact with these cars in front approaching Island Bend.
You're on board with Matt Griffin as Maxi Gertz comes through Island Bend. He's the pioneer then on this first race pace, greasy lap. The GT4 cars behind them being joined now by Jack Mitchell, who is that one lap down. As round the outside goes Cian Jewis in the blue and pink Mercedes, looking for a way ahead of Callum McLeod. The race leader is Gertz, second is Mitchell, third is Muller, fourth is Kirchhofer, in fifth it's Johnny Adam, in sixth is Clutton, seventh is Sam Neary, and Sven Muller touching the grass though as he ran a little bit wide coming out of the Britain chicane, and also doing a bit of weaving to get more warmth into the tyres. McLeod on the inside line in the green McLaren gets himself up ahead of Cian Jewis again as they come through the chicane. It's a pretty frantic first racing lap. Into the pit lane has come Hugo Cook. So number one, Hugo Cook has bailed for the pit lane, and that car then now to go on to slick tyres. So they need to keep it on the lead lap. That's the big point in all of this now, and the team goes to work. This is not the regulation pit stop, this is an extra stop, and they're hoping that the road will dry out quickly enough to let them buy back the time they lose right now. On this damp surface as they drop down towards his lots, there's Callum McLeod again looking for a way past Tom Wood and getting involved with Cian Jewis, who gets elbowed out wide. The bite a bit there because McLeod has got damage. I think he's picked up a puncture. He leant on the Mercedes, and Callum McLeod being a little bit over defensive, you could argue. Well, he's come off worst.
Yeah, he squeezed the Mercedes there, so that I think that's totally on McLeod, to be fair. And yeah, he's got a rear left puncture, so that is not ideal for their race. But yeah, Gertz is absolutely bolted, isn't he? He's rapid in the wet.
Hugo Cook is doing purple sectors on slick tyres. So straight away, the road is dry enough for slicks. No question about it. Hugo Cook is doing absolute best in the sectors. Back on board with Matt Griffin, and he is getting himself onto the back of Cian Jewis now as they head up towards Druids under the trees. Might still be a bit damp there, though. A bit sketchy.
Yeah, he's doing purple sectors, but the amount of time he's got to gain back is incredible. I mean, yeah, the McLeod just creeping, but calling back to the pits. But yeah, the 1:39.9 fastest lap for Cook. So is it going to be enough to outweigh the pit stop? I'm not sure.
Maxi Gertz has done a 1:39.9 then as the best lap of the race. The leader goes through, and we'll start to see shortly what anybody else can do. Hugo Cook is the man to watch, and keeping an eye for anybody else bailing for the pit lane. So it is Maximilian Gertz in the lead. Maxi Gertz ahead of Sven Muller, Mercedes-AMG versus Porsche. In third is the Aston of Johnny Adam. In fourth place, Marcus Clapton's McLaren. Fifth is Tom Wood's Aston. And sixth, Martin Plowman's McLaren. I'm keeping an eye out of the window to see what the rain is doing. Well, it's forcing people to put up their umbrellas, but then the wind is making them put the umbrellas down again.
I'm amazed at how many teams have boxed for slicks. I thought just ride it out until the pit window, but yeah, and the teams that have done that. Oh, what's this replay then?
Ooh, sideways in.
Yeah, so it does get very undrivable when you're on slicks in these conditions, as you can see. You know, Cian Jewis knows what he's doing, but you've got no grip. You've got no grip.
Yeah, it's great to watch, isn't it? And it's giving us a really interesting race. But yeah, there are lots of people in the pit lane thinking, Britain, bank holiday weather? You're kidding. So the Neary's a second pit stop. I mean, if it dries out now, they might as well go home, because to have to make a third pit stop and then the regulation stop would be really bad. And it looks like they're losing time on that right front as well from when we had a look at that pit stop. So right now, Maximilian Gertz leads the way. This interesting little battle going on between the Lotuses, both of which are on slicks. Okay, so enough damage.
Oh, big snap for Jewis there on the straight. Wasn't even turning.
Yeah, and he's very, very sketchy going in towards Old Hall. And the car is sideways there. In fairness, the Lamborghinis and the McLarens that have gone on to slicks seem to be coping better with respect to him than Cian Jewis does in the Mercedes. At the moment, he's struggling to stay ahead of the GT4 McLaren, and Jack Brown, who is on wet, has got enough traction to get past. He just hasn't quite got enough grunt. In a straight line, the Mercedes-AMG is all right, but now it's a massive intake of breath from Cian Dewis as he tries to hold on through Island Bend. Look how much time he's hemorrhaging through the corner. Yeah,
and I think we'll see the GT4 go around the outside of Dewis here. And no, we don't. But the GT3 will just pull away on the straight, hold up the GT4s in the corners. Very frustrating for the GT4s.
Going better than it did in the first race when it picked up a puncture and some damage on lap 1, dropped a couple of laps, and Tom Wood is just ahead of Martin Plowman as they get into Britain's. Good battle this between the two British brands, and you've got the Ferrari charging along behind in the hands of Matt Griffin, swatting aside the traffic as he comes out of the chicane.
Yeah, and the Lotus got a bit of a side swipe there from, I think that was Plowman, and the McLaren just gave him a little nudge going into the first chicane. Maybe you didn't see him there, but yeah, all good, no damage. Saw
the spin for Brandon Templeton's BMW. He is back in the race, albeit having lost time. And this is the onboard. James, just talk us through this.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but let's see what happens. So he's offline behind the Mercedes, who's struggling obviously on slicks. And does he get clipped from behind there?
Sounded like there was a whack, didn't it?
Yeah, so doesn't look like it was his fault. And yeah, the audio would suggest he got a massive whack from the rear.
Maxi Goetz, a 41-1 on wets, is now very, very close to being slicked again.
Yeah, it seems like 141 is the tip-over point, but I was actually going to say, before the team radio, I'm noticing all the cars on wets are sliding around more because it stopped raining, and then, yeah, there's literally no rain coming down right now, so it really does dry up on the circuit very fast.
Amazing what rain can do to a motor race, isn't it? Especially when it's not, you know,
brilliant,
torrential, where it's so dangerous that it's all crawling around behind a safety car. But when it's like this and keeping everybody on their toes, fantastic stuff. Right, slicks being prepared. Well, don't forget Rob Collard's car's already on slicks, but they're going to give him a new set potentially and a bit more grip. Maxi Goetz on his wets, bringing the car towards the end of the stint. GT4 pit window is open, so we'll have a busy pit lane because everybody leaving it late. Let's see what Goetz does. Does he box this time? Does he come in with half an hour to go, half the race remaining? He might squeeze one more lap out of the stint before he needs to put Kevin Say, the Hong Kong Macanese driver, behind the wheel. That is a very big gap that he has now pulled. Maxi Goetz ahead of Sven Muller. Sven Muller doesn't know Outlton Park as well as Maxi Goetz, but he's only raced here once before, Maxi. 7.9 seconds now is the margin between them, as into the pit lane comes Johnny Adam, into the pit lane comes Marcus Clutton. So there, the regulation stops now, including Mark Smith in for Martin Plowman, and now we're about to see what the GT4 gap is going to be, because as Mark Warren rejoins, he's still going to be clear, isn't he, of number 17?
He is. One thing in these conditions when it's drying on one line, even when you're a GT3 lapping GT4, it's so tricky because there's only one line of grip. So when you go offline, your slicks get really wet and cool down, and you have no grip. So it's a sketchy process.
Morgan Tilbrook has just done a lap half a second shy of the best lap of the race of Hugo Cook from earlier on. So they are now starting to get to that period where it was just about dry earlier on, as here being held up a bit by Mark Warren is Mark Smith in number 9 McLaren, so he's caught the GT4 lead car. Andrew Howard, the oldest man on the grid, whisper it, 61 years of age, but still an inveterate enthusiast, is the ice cream magnate. He drops back from the McLaren in the traffic there, heading up now through that left of Island Bend, and Andrew Howard thinks about a move on the inside going up towards Shell. You're looking there at number 17, which is Luca Hopkinson. So he is chasing after the number 90 McLaren for the lead in GT4. Look, as the GT3 traffic is coming through GT4, Mark Warren has been reeled in, has he not, by Luca Hopkinson now. So the two McLarens are almost nose to tail for honours in GT4, dropping down to Lodge with just under 18 minutes to go.
That's right, and in race one, obviously we said they were working together, both being optimum McLarens, but when there's a race win on the line, I don't think there's going to be much working together. I think there might be a bit, there's definitely going to be a battle for the lead, which should be good to watch.
And there was that contact as the Charles Dawson Mercedes stuck its nose up the inside. Well, if there was contact, Mark Warren got away with that. The GT3 Mercedes swoops past. Charles Dawson made that move. Remember what he did in race one on the number 67 McLaren at that same corner. Now, Rob Collard has set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:37.3. The leader is doing a 1:40. Second and third in the 42s and 41s. So at the moment, Rob Collard quicker than anybody out there by some margin, but he's a lap down. Simon Orange doesn't just get past the Porsche, he gets away from the Porsche. And the next man that might come up to have a go at Nick Jones would be Giacomo Petrobelli. We've got a new fastest lap, Morgan Tilbrook.
McLaren clearly coming alive in these conditions, and I thought Orange was going to get compromised there by that Lotus, but he lived to fight another day. But yeah, I think that 4.9 second gap from Petrobelli to Jones is going to come down very, very quickly.
Possibly so. You saw just going through the shot the charging Rob Collard, but the frustration is that they're a lap down. This is GT4. They're still nose to tail. Mark Warren ahead of Luca Hopkinson. Don't forget, although this is the lead battle in GT4, each within that division are leading their classes. That's a Pro-Am leader ahead. We're leading the Silver Cup within GT4, so they get points for that, but each combination of driver wants to be the winner outright in the GT4 division. So down towards Hislop's, Mark Warren doing a good job of hanging on in there to that class lead. Mark Smith, the American driver in the McLaren, hangs on to the place. Duncan Cameron goes a little bit deep into Old Hall, and does that give Andrew Howard a chance to challenge in the Aston Martin? Not quite. Down towards Denton's they go, then into the left of Cascades. Just 12 minutes and change on the clock right now. And of the three out of Cascades, Andrew Howard's Aston looks the quicker, also looks the wider though, as he uses quite a bit of the curb.
Yeah, I know we just complimented the McLaren in these conditions, but Smith is struggling. He's 8 seconds slower than Tilbrook on the last lap, so really, really struggling. Maybe he's completely overheated those wets, and he is the cork in the bottle for Cameron and Howard. So in these conditions, you can overtake, and we've seen that quite a few times in the last few laps, which is good to see.
Yeah, so you've got three GT3 cars having their own battle, but Mark Warren, look, he's chipped away and he's virtually up with them. Through the traffic then comes that GT3 fight, putting a lap on Chris Solgelf, and up the inside dive, both of the McLarens, leaving nothing on the table. Mark Warren goes by, who is such a good AM, really was, from the moment he came into Porsche racing and then into GT racing. Mark Warren really is a very, very fine racing driver, and he dives through in the traffic, as does behind him Luca Hopkinson. Up towards Druids they go. Hopkinson with a bit of a snatch of the steering wheel there as he just had the track surface change on him. That is Martin Plowman.
Looks very concerned, doesn't he?
He does, because the car he shares is the one at the head of this long queue coming into Lodge. And another car that is revelling in these conditions is the Honda, 5th overall now, the Bridger Motorsport Honda NSX. There it is, Chun Chun Gip at the wheel. That car could get perhaps to the podium by the end of the race. Chun Chun Gip raced a couple of years ago in this country in the MSVR Miata Trophy. He's done some single-seater racing. He's driven in the British Endurance Championship, stepping up to GT3 level in British GT this year. It's a single-car team, so it's a real underdog squad, but they've played it right. The car did its best lap of the race last time through, and Chun Chun Gip is absolutely flying, and he's trying to get himself up now alongside the Aston Martin of Giacomo Petrobelli. It didn't quite work, but another place to be gained by that Honda is on the cards. Petrobelli is struggling, and the Honda, look at the drive off the corner. Chun Chun Gip to the outside line, down now towards the Hislop chicane. Ahead of them, you've got Nick Jones, and round the outside goes the Honda. Right, so that puts him up now into 4th. He's going to pick off the Porsche, maybe on this lap as well.
I think he's got a chance of a podium. That's
absolutely,
and we did not expect that at the start of the weekend, that's for sure. That Honda's just been improving round by round, so good to see it so strong at the end of this race.
There was one of them, Heaky Lotuses, there on a slightly odd line. I'm hoping he was just getting out of the way rather than having a problem and getting offline. But yeah, Chun Chun Gip could be the hero of the day here. Talk about the underdog entry. He's closing on Nick Jones down towards Lodge, but that Honda is absolutely on a mission. So Kevin Say leads by 43.6 seconds. Here's the battle for 3rd place, and Chun Chun Gip will be ahead by the time they get to the timing line. He goes through. Now, his lap was a 1:40. He's got 11 seconds to make up. He's a second a lap quicker than Simon Orange. He's not going to get second unless the McLaren makes a mistake with only 6 minutes on the clock. But what a drive, what a performance for the Bridger Motorsport team, for Chun Chun Gip and Luke Garlick.
To see it so strong at the end of this race.
There was one of them, Heaky Lotuses, there on a slightly odd line. I'm hoping he was just getting out of the way rather than having a problem and getting offline. But yeah, Chun Chun Gip could be the hero of the day here. Talk about the underdog entry. He's closing on Nick Jones down towards Lodge, but that Honda is absolutely on a mission. So Kevin Say leads by 43.6 seconds. Here's the battle for 3rd place, and Chun Chun Gip will be ahead by the time they get to the timing line. He goes through. Now, his lap was a 1:40. He's got 11 seconds to make up. He's a second a lap quicker than Simon Orange. He's not going to get second unless the McLaren makes a mistake with only 6 minutes on the clock. But what a drive, what a performance for the Bridger Motorsport team, for Chun Chung Ip and Luke Garlick.
Yeah,
brilliant job.
What a result.
Yeah.
And I must say, Dawson looks quick as well, 3 cars behind, but he is on his last track limit warning. So the last few laps, he's been abusing turn 1 and turn 3.
Whoa, and that's Nick Jones off the road. He's got it wrong going through Island Bend, and Nick Jones slithers his way around the corner. Does he get back onto the road? No, he stays on the grass, but it was a big, long, lazy slide. And now the problem is, can he get the car fired up? And then can he get off that wet grass?
And you can see the barrier from earlier with that Ravi Ramyid crash. That's
Still got bits in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think he's beached, is he?
Go on, Nick, get it going. He's got it moving.
There we go.
Well done. Just to go back, as you look at these 2 cars that are on different laps coming to Hislop, go back to that Honda. That Honda was last on the grid in GT3. Is this the perfect example of why you should never give up in a race? You know, you might not have had the pace in qualifying, but with changeable conditions and getting the strategy right and the right call on the right tyre at the right time, a podium result from last on the GT3 grid. Top job for everybody, apart from Kevin Say, who in the traffic, a little bit close to Duncan Cameron, and that lets Andrew Howard up the inside. A really good opportunistic move, and Andrew's done it. Andrew Howard goes ahead as they come up Deer Leap over the timing line into 8th place. Goes the Aston. Kevin Say starts lap 34. He is miles up the road, absolutely.
This should be the penultimate lap, and no traffic in the way of Simon Orange, so that is working in his favour, but the Honda's catching him fast, so...
Yeah. And there they are. There's the McLaren.
That's a lapped Lamborghini, I think.
It is, and there's the Honda behind it. So this is what we're looking at for second place with 2 laps to run, looking at the clock. So at the start of this lap, it was 4 seconds, and Alex Martin is in number 78 Lamborghini. His last lap was a 37, so he's quicker than Simon Orange. Alex Martin should be able to jump ahead, and that then leaves the way clear for Chun Chung Ip here to make that move. Chun Chung Ip over the line in the blue Honda. As I say, it's a real underdog, underfunded effort. And Luke Garlick looking pretty pleased about third, when it might be even better. Could be second at the way that he's going. Looking back here from Simon Orange's McLaren. Orange being pressed by Alex Martin, who's trying to unlap himself. The Lamborghini comes up the inside. Look at the Honda. Look how much bigger it is getting in frame, because it's getting closer, closer, closer towards Island Bend. The gap at the start of the lap, second to third, was 1 second. Now, it needs to get past this Lamborghini, or the Lamborghini needs to get past the McLaren. Right now, defending from that Lambo is the best opportunity, but Alex Martin lets the Honda go. He gets the call on the radio. You're not in that battle. Let that quicker car go. Right, it is game on for second place, coming up towards Hilltop. The move might happen right now. There's the Honda up the inside. They're going to be dead set level. No, not quite. Simon Orange just able to defend, coming down towards Hislops. Chun Chung Ip goes just a little bit deep, but it is when, not if, the place changes. Could come up the hill.
It looked like he was going to let him go, but it's just the straight line speed of that Honda is just so good. So 1 lap to go, 1 and a bit laps to go. I think this could be on, maybe into one of the chicanes, maybe even into the last corner.
Kevin Say's on his last lap. These 2 for second place have yet to start it, but they're not far off as they get up through the traffic once again. What a race it has turned out to be, and in tricky conditions, the fact that we haven't had really any drama in terms of spin, certainly not a single full course yellow nor safety car, is testament to the drivers and how well they've respected the conditions. As now it makes the move, over the line they come. Simon Orange defends the inside line. Chun Chung Ip to the outside. Look at that little inset picture. That's Luke Garlick peering into the distance, then back to the monitors to see what's going on. Come on, he's looking at his phone, looking at the footage there, looking at the timing data. Are we going to see a change for second place on the last lap? Kevin Say is heading to the checkered flag. He leads by 46 seconds. And we're about to have the change, are we? To the inside line goes the Honda. The McLaren defends. Simon Orange, I tell you, he's got pointy elbows. Goes a little bit deep into Island Bend. What a battle.
If you're the Honda team, you need to strike while the iron's hot. You've been nowhere all season. This is your chance for P2. But at the same time, you don't want to jeopardise a podium. So it's just the straight line speed. I think, honestly, into the last corner, that McLaren's in trouble.
Let's see. Here they come out of the chicane. In the meantime, Kevin Say is going to win race 2. Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz win at Outlton Park in a wet-dry race, but in the end, it's a dominant driver. Delighted Maxi Gertz. They take their first win of the season. It's another victory for 2Cs. The GT4 leaders go across the line where Jack Brown and Mark Warren win. Coming into Knickerbrook for the last time. You're on board with Simon Orange. Chun Chung Ip is right there behind him in the Honda as they make that climb up Clay Hill. He's done such a good job, has Chun Chung Ip, of getting up up with the McLaren. Is he going to be denied second place? It looks like he is, because there's only really one corner to go, and Simon Orange has defended magnificently here. Luke Garlick looks at the screens, looks at his phone. Last corner, last lap, and Chun-Chung-Ip not quite close enough. But does he get the drive off the corner? Yes, he does, but not enough. It is going to be the McLaren that just hangs on to second place. Great battle. Simon Orange defended really, really well, but Chun-Chung-Ip from 14th to 3rd. That is really the feel-good story of the day, isn't it? So let's look at the results then with our class winners first of all. In GT3, the outright winner in the Pro-Am class fell to Maxi Goetz, Kevin Say. Silver Am, 3rd overall, Chun-Chung-Ip and Luke Garlick. In GT4, it was a win for Jack Brown and Mark Warren. They won Pro-Am, and the winning silver class, Carl Luca Hopkinson and Harry George. So Kevin Say and Maxi Goetz, the winners from Simon Orange and Marcus Clatham. Luke Garlick and Chun-Chung-Ip, 3rd. Giacomo Petrobelli 4th with the help of Johnny Adam. Marvin Kirchhoffer and Morgan Tilbrook, who took the fastest lap, coming through for 5th. 6th in the end, Sven Muller and Nick Jones. Go down to 8th and you find the class runner-up, Andrew Howard and Tom Wood. And then GT4, 13th and back, Jack Brown and Mark Warren ahead of Harry George and Luca Hopkinson. And then Jack Mitchell and Stephen Lake, 3rd in GT4. An excellent job done by our GT4 drivers. Mark Warren and Jack Brown leave Outlton Park with a massive advantage in the championship after a double non-score for Ravi Ramid and Charlie Robertson. Then Brandon Templeton and Chris Solkelt 3rd. Harry George and Luca Hopkinson are now 4th ahead of Ed McDermott and Seb Morris, who'll be back for Spa. 6th, Stephen Lake and Jack Mitchell. And as far as the GT3 championship is concerned, Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis have been banking points, so they're 10 up on Kevin Say and Maxi Goetz, with Morgan Tilbrook and Marvin Kirchhoffer in 3rd. 4th is Hugo Cook, ahead of Giacomo Petrobelli and Johnny Adam. Top 6 in GT3 rounded out by Alex Martin. And our Spa race will be the weekend of the 21st, 22nd of June. More GT action next week when GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup will be at Monza. Many of the names you've been witnessing today will be in action there